Welcome to Say More, a masks-off series about identity, reinvention, and what's real when the roles we play start to feel too small. I'm Brooke Lyons, actress, writer, and host of the We Need to Talk About Substack. In each episode, I sit down with artists, thinkers, healers, and entrepreneurs for unscripted conversations about change, creativity, and the quiet courage it takes to live a life off script. I'm so excited to share today's episode with the magical, the extraordinary Alyshia Ochse. Alyshia is a Los Angeles-based actress, best-selling author, podcast host, entrepreneur, and mother who is likely most recognized for her role as Lucy opposite Matthew McConaughey from the Golden Globe-nominated HBO series True Detective, in addition to countless other notable television and film roles. She's also the host of That One Audition podcast, which is one of the top entertainment industry podcasts out there, and the author of the book Life Letters. And she's a friend with tons of wisdom to share. So I'm thrilled for you to be able to benefit from her infinite wisdom and unique point of view today. Enjoy the episode.
I'm so excited when I get to see you too. And also grateful for the nimbleness and the receptivity that you show up with, especially juggling a career and motherhood.
I think also in this new impulsive era, people, it's like we have gotten to our computers are in our hands now. So if you don't respond to an email in 2 hours, that's okay. I'm trying to scale down my impulsive need to attend to somebody right in that moment. I would like the rest of the world to kind of catch up to that as well too. But I have just started working on boundaries, hello, mid-40s, let's get some boundary time. But I have that people pleasing in me where I'm like, oh, of course, I'd love to help you with our audition. Oh yeah, I'd love to hear about your breakup right now. Hold on, the house is on fire. And I also have an audition, but no problem. Let's focus on you. And then at the end of the day, especially last year, I was so burnt out. So trying to figure out how to manage my time. I think as a single mommy, having 3 businesses essentially that could change in a day. Yeah. I mean, I have
Coaching,
coaching, yeah, in my own career. And, earlier this week, I had to reschedule some stuff because I had an in-person.
What?
I was like, what do we do? What do we do? And I had to cancel a couple of great podcast interviews, and the pushback, they were like, well, since you have to reschedule, I'm like, yes, I do. I do have to reschedule. It's just funny. Everybody thinks they're the one thing, right? We all want to be the one thing, the most important thing at the moment. And it's really hard, I think, sometimes to navigate disappointing people, even if it's not the intention, and then not taking that on.
And it's interesting in this business, but in any business, how, I don't know if you, I'm also a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah. I like saying recovering. I'm like, I've recovered, I'm recovering.
But it creeps up in these little places. And I found myself historically lying, right? Lying to make it sound more professional or more respectful. If I have a kid home sick from school and my whole day is blown up and I'm sort of like, hey, it's like the White Lotus quote, circumstances have changed. I wonder if we could reconfigure. And that's great. There's a place for professionalism, but I find myself putting on this language to sort of hide the reality of what's happening. And while, we don't need to be so much of an open book that everybody knows everything. Within reason, I think it's just this human need that I've been exploring to say, hey, actually, this is what's happening. I'm going to have to change. And if you were in the same position, you would also have to change the schedule. But I do agree that people are so quick to put a label on it, be offended. How dare you take my time? What kind of time do you think I have?
I'm learning this as a recovering PP. I don't even like saying the word. I've been rehearsing this in my head every time I go to do something like that. Adults inform, children explain. I've explained. I over-explain everything, and because I want to make sure that you know that you're okay. I'm always taking care of somebody else's feelings. That's exhausting. It's exhausting. So every time I go to respond to something, I have to reschedule something. I am trying to inform now instead of explaining it. Ooh, that has been, but the younger kids, they have that. All of my babysitters are in their like 20s. I had somebody commit to watching Vita, and then a week later, like 2 days before the thing, was like, unfortunately, I'm no longer available. And that was it. And I, at first, was a little put off by it. No explanation. But she was informing. And I was like, thank you for letting me know and just not showing up. Also, this generation works a little bit differently than we were raised. So there's that. But at the same time, I also kind of respected, she informed she is no longer available. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's my problem. And she doesn't have to take care of my feelings. I have to work on, that's for me. But what a good example constantly when I see other people informing versus explaining.
I'm going to steal that. I steal little quotes from you. Like, I think the last time you were here, you said, when you're talking to your daughter, you're like, it's been asked and answered. When my kids are like, can I have ice cream? Can I have ice cream? Mom, and I said, you asked and it was answered. It's been answered. Thank you. And I use that all the time.
Isn't it great? Because then you're not using the no word, which they hear no all the time. So then they're going to be defiant to that. Asked and answered. I wish I had a button. Asked and answered.
And it's the same thing where you're like, I'm not here to give you 7 explanations for why you can't have ice cream right now.
Yes.
Because that, again, it's like taking the power dynamic and going like this.
And then again, not attaching to their emotions. Because I, as a recovering PP, even with my child, want to be like, here's why you can't do it. That's. Explain to her. And then what's she going to do in her brilliant little 9-year-old body?
Oh, yeah.
But. And now we're in this negotiation, asked and answered. Eventually she just gets tired of it, which I borrowed from somebody else. I don't know who told me that. And I was like, oh, genius. Thank you. It's been I do it every day. I'll write a whole text and then delete and then like send one sentence and then have a little bit of heart palpitations because I'm recovering, right, where I'm like, that was too brief. I shouldn't. I'm like, let it go. Go on to the next thing. When people tell you, like you said, when people share with me, oh, I can't, I doesn't stop me from asking them usually again for something else. I'm not mad at them. So it's interesting that I project onto somebody else.
Why do you think you do?
I think it's a manipulation tactic for a recovering PP.
Yeah.
To make sure that however that I'm basically, these are harsh words, but trying to control your response to my availability. That's truly what it is. So I have to work on, which is so interesting in our careers too. I'm wondering where your career has shifted in this new decade that we're in. Whereas before it was like, that people pleasing. Let me show you what you want. Oh my God, can I do this? Oh, I would like to work with this person, or treating my agents and managers like a certain way, to then all of a sudden getting to a different place and being like, fuck it. Like truly, like if this is for me, I can't really fuck it up. I can't be too nice, too kind, too perfect, not perfect enough. It really doesn't matter. But I wish I could go back.
One of your episodes of your podcast with Kat Foster, who I met working on a show in like 2011 or something. She had this crazy story that she shared where she was like testing for a pilot and she said the craziest. She's like, I don't know why I said this. It was like offensive. I showed up late. I wasn't wearing the right outfit. I asked somebody if they were pregnant, which was so inappropriate, but she got the job anyway. Like to your point, which I'm listening to this and my sort of people pleasing is like, oh, you were bending over backwards and manipulating them to make them love you. And she got the job because she was so in her authenticity and she was right for the job. And that's such an encapsulation of what you're talking about. We're like, especially in our younger years.
Especially.
Over explaining it, bending over backwards, constantly available, canceling trips. For me, I when I take inventory of my career, I'm sort of like, holy shit. You canceled trips. You didn't go to friends' weddings. You lied about 2 pregnancies way into them, not even feeling joy about your own pregnancy because you were like, what? It's fine. You can still hire me. Like just the need to like squeeze in to be this idea of what you think they want. And meanwhile, you're making yourself small. You're denying the truth of your own life.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting thing that we do, and I get why we do it. But the older you get and into your 40s, I just can't do it anymore because we all have our story of like, this is why I came here. These are the roles that I played. But you find yourself, it's almost like a press junket of your own life. You find yourself repeating old stories. And my question is sort of like, how much does your world have to earthquake to like just drop that already and start to tell a new story?
God, what a great question, Brooke. I think it's the midlife crisis. I don't care to label us where we are. Oh, but let's also take off some of the negativity around that. It's like, what got me to here? What got me to the 40s? It's not going to get me to the next. It's not going to get me through the next 40. And I feel like you see this response in people where they go out and get the sporty car, or they go out and get the younger partner, or they go out or they make crazy decisions, impulsive decisions to kind of discover or hold on to that past. I definitely in the last 3 years have seen behavior of my own where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I got 2 cats. I got my kid a cat because I thought that would be a good pet for her to have. And of course, I'd been working in LA. Then I got a job outside of LA.
Of course you did.
Then I felt bad for the cat. So then I got the cat a cat. And I was like, what? How at that point I was like, I'm a single woman with a kid and 2 cats. This is it. This is the epitome of the end. That was one thing. I got a random tattoo at like a pop-up. Like I just wasn't like thinking anymore because you're not present, right? I was like, what happened in the past? What could have I done differently? Or that story that I'm holding on to that I'm never going, there's a lot of stories that I was holding on to. My dad saying, I just don't want you to be 40 and bartending, when I was just starting my acting career. And now here I am at,
with shadow.
So much shame, so much shadow. So much of like, you can't do this business. You can't. So that story was living with me, even though I had evidence against it, right? 40 was tough. But 2020 was tough. So within like a year, I had to start looking at the facts. When I got that cat, I got a show in Atlanta and I was away shooting. And then I was still doing the podcast and still doing my coaching and stuff. And I was like, no, you are doing this. You're doing this. That's just the story why do our brains default to, you don't want to be 40 and bartending. You don't want to, like, the one negative thing that's been said to you, we run with it. And that's kind of, I think we hide behind it because then we don't have to do any work to go past it. The work lately, I'll be honest, it's grueling. And also, hello, perimenopause. Like, I'm just going to be honest about it. No, I think I've been struggling for the last few years being in it, not knowing what was going on. So your mental health goes through everything. So in this midi section of trying to understand yourself, you're also becoming a totally different person.
Yes.
So I've tried to have some grace. Honestly, I've tried to have some humor, like 2 kids and a cat. Go Lish, or 2 cats and a kid. No. And then I think also interviewing people, hearing their story. I like to see patterns. I think you and I as actors, first and foremost, I look for the pattern. I look for the pattern of behavior. I look for how this person is built. Interviewing a lot of people, I can see a pattern in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
This is what was told to you as a child. You either worked against it and look where you've come full circle, or you've fully created that belief, because not all beliefs have to be negative. I've heard so many people have incredible stories where it was a belief system that they were attached to that was positive, that wasn't negative. And God, if I could just restructure my brain for that, I see that pattern. So I feel like right now my focus is breaking a pattern, not only breaking a pattern in myself, it's breaking a pattern in work. Our work is different now. I'm playing moms a lot. You know, you're not the ingenue. I got an offer last year and the director was so kind. I was so gracious for this offer. And he's like, I just wanted to talk to you to make sure that you'd be okay, like not being the lead. And I was like, what do you, I don't think about the world. I don't think about acting that way. Am I the lead or am I the 16th person on the call sheet? I really don't. Unless I am the number one, because I have responsibilities. I just take it.
Yeah.
But look at a project and be like, what number am I?
Yes.
And I was like, no. He's like, well, you know, you're not the ingenue in this film, but I've loved your work since True Detective. Would you be interested in basically playing God? And I was like, absolutely. Like, what do you mean? Absolutely. So since we're in this new space, I got to let go. I got to let go of the stories because it's not going to help me into the 50s, 60s. Like, it's not going to help me in this next phase and chapter. But I have to say today, right now, it's like a weekly to daily, the past and the present, the past and what I want in the future are colliding. And I'm just trying really hard to be present. And I think the interviews help with that, talking to people, being honest.
Being on it. Like, I've come to think that it's really the only way forward. And that may sound obvious or something like that, but I can't tell you how many times I've been having conversations with people in Hollywood. I'll just be talking and they're sort of like, wow, you're so real. And I'm always like, oh, and here's the thing. It's like, I think I probably would have been more successful at this point had I not been as real. If people along the way had said, hey, what are you up to? How's it going? And I was like, it's amazing. I have like 3 projects in development. I talked to this person, name drop, studio drop. And I'm going to do, if I spun a narrative, because like that, the stuff we do off camera has always been part of the storytelling that we do, where it's like, you got to be sexy. You got to be desirable. You got to be cool, not desirable sexually, but desirable, like unavailable, make them want you, all those things. I seem to be missing the part of my brain where I can do that comfortably. I'm just like, I can't do it. It's so hard. And especially now, like you're saying, when you reach your 40s, it's nice because everybody's sort of coming to that side where they're sort of like, wait a minute, the only way through is to speak the truth and really ground into it. And I think also circumstantially, like you and I are the same age, I think, and we've had a really interesting handful of years in our industry. It started with COVID, and then we had the writer's strike and the actor's strike, and then we had some fires, and this was all at the same time as the streaming bubble burst and the opportunities went down and people started pulling money. And it's complicated sometimes to explain because when I speak to people outside of the industry, they're like, how's it going? You know, oh, there's still a lot of TV on, which is true. But for those of us here, the whole landscape has changed. It's as if you spent all these years scaling the mountain. And right at the point where you're at the top, the mountain turns to sand and disappears.
Yes.
And you're sort of like, do I want to still do this? What are my skill sets? What is this landscape before me? And how the hell do I move through it?
That is such a good explanation. I literally in therapy, I had a very similar, she was like, what a good analogy, where I said, I feel like I've been shoveling the snow in my driveway for the last few years and I'm tired and a blizzard just dumped. And I'm sitting inside going, I don't want to go shovel it. I'll just wait for summer. Like I don't have the energy to spin it in a different way. I do have the energy to hold on. And I think that's what it is right now it's rocky seas. And you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I think that there's two ways. It's different for men and women. And I'm not, this is very gendered. My mom called me yesterday after listening to Kim Coates on the show. She was like, oh my God, I just love, he's just the sweetest guy who plays all these villains. Look at him. And she was like, but he just says no. He says no all the time. And Rob Morgan came a few weeks ago, and once he did Mudbound, he was like, I'm offer only. I'm never going to audition again. And guess what? He's never auditioned again. And he is offer only. This is wonderful. I love hearing. I've never heard it from a woman.
Wow.
Never heard it at 750 plus interviews. I've not heard women saying no often. What I have heard that I thought was brilliant, not just in our industry, but just in life, that I think kind of helps what you were saying earlier about like, how do I upsell myself? It's not even upsell. How do I share more of myself in a way that is engaging and uplifting, right? So if we're being honest and we're in this place, we could definitely complain for sure about the industry, about the dissolving mountain, about our bodies changing, about our minds changing, about people being like, I don't want to go in the room. I only want to self-tape. People being like, damn self-tapes. I only want to go in the room. Everybody's having a crisis right now because we cannot control this. Sky P. Marshall came on the show, and she was prepared for everything and anything, as simple as, what's your name? She's like, I have a response that makes people want to know more about me. What do you do? She has a response that makes people want to inquire more. And it's not this salesy thing. It's authentic to her. It makes her excited and available. And it's fully allowed any person she's ever met to want to work with her.
Wow.
And that is the episode from a woman that I feel like that I have told everybody, even outside of the industry, I'm like, go listen to that episode. She really makes you think about the things that we do every day, about introducing ourselves, showing up as ourselves, and in a way that is authentic, available, fully available, fully in her light, like fully shining in her light. Because her name's Sky P. Marshall. She makes a joke about, no, she's not. She didn't fly, but yes, she was in the military. So then people are like, wait, you were in the military? And then like, what do you do? And what was her response for that? Oh my God, it was so hilarious. And it got her a job. And she does it all the time. She does it all the time. And when I would go in rooms, when I meet people in public, people butcher my name all the time. I make a negative excuse for it because I want to make sure that they feel okay by butchering it. And I've been trying since she's come on the show. I'm like, how do I spin this differently? How do I say this differently that's authentic to me, that stays in like a positive place, doesn't make anybody feel bad for saying it wrong? But also, like, it's not, if somebody calls you Brooklyn, you're like, that's not really my name. So there's something about, like, I'm not connecting with people on this one primal thing of introduction. So how can I change that? I think that sometimes in these crisis moments, like the mountain dissolving, where do we find our footing again? I think it does come from self. It's so much work to like not have that fear as you're falling, but where do you find your ground again? And that's where I feel like everybody in the industry, but more so women than men, are really feeling this because we're not used to. Women don't ask for things, not often. Men do all the time. Men ask for things and they're like, sure, let me also give you producing credit just for asking to be on the project. Women, we're the ones kind of doing it all. So how do you ask for help? How do you ask for a mentor? How do you ask to speak to somebody where you're like, the mountain also crumbled in 2008. So the writer's strike then. What did people do, right? What do we do to pivot and hold on? Do we have these conversations? Right now, I can't tell you how many times I've had consultations, Brooke, with a lot of actors in the last like 2 months that are in this space. And so many of them have been working for 25 years, have gone from series to series to series. And they're like, is this it for me? I can't make that decision for you, but what is it that's bringing you joy? What other life experience can you kind of lean into right now. Because what's for you will find you is a great quote. But what if it takes 2 years? Julia Roberts hasn't worked in a little bit. Nobody's second guessing her as an actor.
Right.
Why? She has money because she has money in the bank and that's it. Like, if you go from project to project, I think that sets a different level of expectation and also good for you. But if you're only going out for certain work or only certain work is available or you have a certain instrument, there could be 2 years between a great job and the next job. So how are you living?
And how are people living? Because it's, you just said so many things I want to dig in, and I want to start with the middle class actor, for lack of a better term, because we have colleagues who are like Oscar winner colleagues, or the ones who've been back hit series for a gazillion years, and they have deep pockets and funds, so they can still, it's spiritually and creatively challenging, but they have the literal functional life capacity to weather a 2-year pause without worrying like how they're going to feed their kids, right? And then I have my like young scrappy friends who are maybe like single, maybe don't have children or don't want to. They have a tremendous amount of flexibility and they can just kind of like be super nimble and scrappy and put it together. And the stakes on survival are lower. But then there's this middle category where we know that there are pauses and waiting times in any artist's career. Once an artist, always an artist. And it's sort of like you can continue to keep going or not, but there may be these periods of waiting. And so how do you not go insane and become sort of bitter during that and cede your power to external sources? And then how do you literally survive in this economy?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a couple of things I'm exploring right now. Like I'm literally exploring hobbies because so much of what I do is for my work that I'm chasing. And when you chase, it flies away, right? Just by definition. But if you sit and wait, it comes to you. But that practice is anxiety inducing sometimes. So if I can find activities to put that energy into, that's been really helpful. I started archery.
What?
I absolutely love it. Look at this. This is my battle wound from last week. Because it's all about breathing. Honestly, there's not a lot of effort involved in it if you're breathing. If you're not breathing, you get hurt.
Talk about a life lesson. I love little lessons like that where you're like, it's about archery, but it's not about archery.
It's not. It's so zen and you have to be so present. And since I'm struggling with that past and future, just like wanting to really get in the fight for my attention right now, I need things that bring me present. Also, the tangible thing, I think, what is it that gives you joy that you can make some money from? What life can you live? I mean, I always joke around about your audition for Life Sentence. You were at Ojai Valley Inn, right? And
I was in a hotel room.
You were living your life, did this audition and got the job. How many pilots? I know. I mean, you've done how many pilot auditions did you have before that you were like, oh, I'm going to get, and you got a lot of them, but also like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it well. And you're such a great actress and you're going to go in and you nail it. And it didn't come to fruition.
No.
It's just like, hey, fuck it. Guess what, guys? I'm not going to come in for that audition. I'm not available. I'm on vacation. Here's my tape. I've heard of people coming back from being on vacation and doing literally their audition in an airplane bathroom and they get it. Yes. But if you sit at home and you're waiting for this, I told a couple of friends that have been in the industry for a long time, they do have a tremendous amount of skill set. And right now in front of the camera might not be the thing. What can you do behind the camera? Like where can you eliminate ego? Do you want to go be a producer on something? I know that's not the easiest thing to pop into, but you could literally go PA for a ton of money. You could go co-EP for some things. You can start putting projects together and get money off that. You can find the money. Like what kind of pivot can you do? I have a friend that started a flower company. And guess what? When she goes on set, she can still do her flower company. I have another friend that is going to she's going to open a brick and mortar like spa, nail salon. You know, the moment that door's open to that nail salon, she's going to book a series.
Yes. Yes, that's the way it always works.
That's the way it works. So I think you have to be really tangible about, yes, what are your financial means and what you can do. And I wish there was somebody that told you that early on. I can't, of course, I've talked to a lot of actors too that were living in their car. They get their first series, they blow all their money, and then they're waiting again. So financial planning for your residuals and your actual income.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, nobody's going to want to hear this. I don't think you can just be an actor anymore. Like, I had this with my agent conversation the other day, and I was like, what do we do? Last year, I always have these crazy goals. Last year, I was like, I want to work every month. I want to work every month. The year before, I was like, I want 12 projects. We got 11. Last
That's
year, I was
amazing.
like, I want to work every month. I did 10 projects. This year, I was like, I want the bigger projects. So I'll hold out. We're going to hold out. Not that there's been any opportunity, though. Let me just say that. I'm not saying no to anything. I'm not holding out. I think in total, we're in April. I've maybe had 7 auditions all year long, which is very unusual. It's unusual to the year I had last year. I know people had a lot more opportunity or less opportunity last year. Last year just happened to be a good year. One of those years where my wave was riding and now I'm back at shore. And I was like, what do we do? What's our strategy? And I've never put the question on him like this. I always come with my intentions. He laughs about it. We both laugh about it. And halfway through the year, he's like, well, we're only at 2. I don't know what's going to happen. And by the end of the year, we get it. This year, he was like, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like, I've been inspired by what you're doing and what some of my other clients are doing. He's like, you're a multi-hyphenate. They're multi-hyphenates. As an agent, I want to be a multi-hyphenate. He's like, I'm tired of chasing after jobs for my clients where I know my clients could fucking kill it.
Yes.
I'm dying to get them the job, right? Like, he really cares. And he was like, I think you have to focus on your other things right now. And I was like, oh, okay, but it's true. It's true for right now.
It's so true. But it talk about stories bumping up against each other. It really creates some friction with that old story, because when we came in, it was sort of like, yes, you can tutor, you can dog walk, you can wait tables. But one of the quote marks of success was like, I make my living as an actor and only as an actor, nothing else. And that was sort of a feather in your cap. And it's very hard to undo that programming once it's been etched into your brain, even if as an individual and as a collective, we are all, I don't want to say facing a new reality, but we are all presented with a new way that things go. And we're clinging to this old thing, no, I just want to be an actor because that means I'm only successful if I am only this, which is outdated thinking, and it's not serving us.
It's not serving us. I say when I'm teaching all the time or when I'm consulting, I'm like, what's your why? And your why can change. Your why can change every year. Why are you an actor? So in these moments, you can go back to your why. If it's to be famous, okay, then guess what? Reality, there's a lot of lanes you can do. If it's to tell great stories, okay, you might have to be a part of cultivating that story now. You might have to go find that story now. You might have to start reading more, start reading short stories, reading the news, reading books so you can find something to help tell a good story so that you're not sitting docile. I said this the other day too. Look, there's a reason why we pay our agents 10%, because 90% of the work is ours.
90% doesn't mean sitting, waiting, doing nothing.
You can't. And if your other reason, if it is just to be an actor for hire, then absolutely you have to do something else. Even the year before, last year I did 10 different projects. The year before that, I had 9 episodes of a show and 2 movies. 10 years ago, if I had 9 episodes of a show and 2 movies, that would last me a couple years. It was enough for a year in real time. That was it.
Because the shift in what people are being paid?
Yep. Streaming. Also, they're getting pretty clever. That show, when I booked the pilot, they booked me as a guest. And they said, for all episodes produced, I called my agent. I said, this is going to be in all episodes produced. And they're trying to get away. So I either want a guarantee or we need to raise the money. They refused to raise the money.
I got a lot.
They do that all the time. So even if you are a working actor these days, because of what we've negotiated for, what we've gotten, not gotten, you can't just I look at all the women from Orange is the New Black, doing 20 plus episodes and making $1,500 an episode. You can't live off of that. So then everybody thinks that you're rolling in it. That's not the case. That the paradigm has changed. Commercials have changed. I remember my girlfriend that she did quit her mountain year. She booked 4 national commercials and got a series. That lasted her for 3 years. And also the series went for 7 years.
Okay,
You can't necessarily do that anymore. 4 national commercials might not even put a dent in anything anymore. We're used to make 6 figures off something like that. You might not even make 6 figures from 4 national commercials now put together. So I think it's just understanding business. This isn't a dream anymore. How do you operate your business? You need to make yourself available in other markets and other territories. If so, how do you do that? You have to negotiate within your business. Does that help raise the bottom line? Are you going to go in the red because you're trying to invest in getting more things? You have to just, I think, step away a little bit and have a real evaluation of what you want to do and your why. Otherwise, you're going to implode. Otherwise, people are leaving because their why might have been satisfied.
Yeah. Like as if your karma or your spiritual contract is complete, or in a more grounded way, like if what you came here to do, you did, and you're sort of like, okay, I don't have the interest in exploring other reasons for doing this.
Yeah, my girlfriend who I think she's had 4 or 5 series regulars, she's like, I fucking did it. I was on TV. I did everything. I did more than I ever thought I would do in this business. And now she's got 2 kids. And she's like, I still love it, but I don't love the chase. I hate self-taping. I would book in the room and that's not coming back. So she might be stepping away. But she's going to get that phone call. Like I hear all the time how people get their jobs. It's mostly what I hear every time I do an interview, right? How they got their jobs. I think 50% of the time, it's not from a typical audition or casting calling you an agent. It's bumping into somebody at a party that like, God, I've been looking for this actor. How come you haven't come in yet? And they're like, I would love to read for your project. And then the next day they get the project, right? It's like somebody stepping into a 7-Eleven and talking to a casting director that's like, oh my God, we've been looking for somebody. Here you are. And then there's that good old fashioned, I've been auditioning in this room for 10 years. And now finally I get the right role, my talent, everything's lined up. And now I finally get that project. We can't control it. And it's usually when we think it's this way, I just stopped trying to figure out how it's going to happen. Now I get curious.
Love that.
Yeah. Well, again, 2 years ago when I told my agent, I was like, I want this. And he was like, I don't know how we're going to do that. I go, isn't that exciting?
Oh,
I go, I wonder how it's going to manifest. Let's just see. He's so funny. He's bought, Brooke, you'll appreciate this. He bought a crystal book. He bought he was trying to get into this astrology because whenever he calls, he's like, what's going on? I was like, Mercury's in retrograde. Look, I'm not even. Or God bless him. I'm like, hey, can we do that audition till next week? And he was like, why? And I'm like, do you really want to know why? And I was like, yeah, because I'm ovulating next week and you book more when you're ovulating versus I'm on my period.
Hold on. What?
Yes, my
yelling now.
Okay. Look at your whole cycle, right? Even if I started trying to live my life by my cycle when it was still kind of regular.
Welcome to perimenopause. I'm like, what's happening today? I don't know.
Right? Who knows? But there was this great study done, and this is even for stuff outside of acting. If you're a salesperson, if you are in any type of customer service or you need to interact with people, in your ovulation week, you are more attractive to people. Your face actually changes shape. They did this study with identical twins. And when one of them was ovulating, 2 men and stuff, they would always pick the twin that was ovulating. They're identical.
Wow.
So everything is just a little bit more radiant. Look, our bodies are like, hey, you want to make a baby? Do you like me? Do I smell good? Do I look pretty? So I try to do a lot of sales things during that time, auditions during that time. The week before your period, great for organization. If you need to clean out that closet, you're nesting. And then on my period, I mean, I don't bleed that long anymore. It's like 2 days. But I try to like really genuinely rest. I don't look great. I don't feel great. I don't like, we need to go into the tent with all the other ladies and just rest. And then the week after that, I start trying to gear up. Even today, like I was like, oh, I'm really on my emails today. I'm like a week out from my period. I'm getting everything organized.
It is so beautiful to hear that. And I think it's wild that, again, like coming into embodiment and feminine wisdom, ancient wisdom, embodied wisdom comes later on because we come up in a hustle culture, and maybe the younger people are better at this because the knowledge is out there. But we do have this hustle culture where it's sort of like be available at all times, be responding to emails at all times, no matter how you feel, override and show up. The show must go on. Nothing really comes of that. Like last week, I think I meant to email you back, and then it was like 6 days because norovirus took down my son, my daughter, and then me. But in those 5 days of the purge, it was almost as if my body, which I don't relax. I don't think I've ever relaxed in my life except when I've been pregnant, and your body forces you to. But my body was like, you are sick. You will do nothing. I didn't watch a screen. I didn't respond to anything. And the absolute clarity that came from that. I felt like I emerged from that period of rest and hibernation, sparkling with unbelievable clarity and magnetism that I wouldn't have had I pushed through.
Yes. Thank you. I'm trying. So you and I are so similar. I can't take naps. I didn't take naps as a child. Like I'm FOMO. What am I going to miss? Am I going to miss something? Am I not going to? My energy is just to ground it. Yeah. Last year I had 3 surgeries.
What?
Yeah. 3 surgeries last year. And I was like, okay, my body demands that I slow down. And it was only on the 3rd surgery that I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not auditioning. I'm taking myself out. I'm finally going to give myself some space so I can think again, so I can create again. I put my phone now during work hours on do not disturb. It pisses a lot of people off. I can't, my brain, because of the recovering PP, I want to like go in and attend to everybody in their one waking moment. I've got nothing left for myself when I do that. I've got nothing left to give. Yeah. And have you noticed this too with your kids? I love that you noticed it with yourself. Whenever my kid gets sick, at the end of that, her brain has exploded. She's grown. She's like all of a sudden this new flower. And we do that too, but mommies never get sick usually. I had that virus a couple weeks ago. That shit takes you down. But that you emerge sparkling new and like refreshed in some weird, odd way as you're being taken down to the primal need of just breathing and eating and making sure that nobody's dying.
I was like, I think this is it. It's been a good run. Take care of the kids.
I love you all. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. Syncing my choices with my cycles. I kind of absolutely love it.
And I don't always tell everybody. My agent, I just try to I mark it. And I have to say, last year, every time I would get an audition in that week, and I would be like, okay, well, that one's going to be mine. And it worked. Now this year, there's no opportunity. So you can't at this moment,
This year, there's no opportunity. And you can't change that if that's the case. Again, it's like letting go control of the things we can't change.
And I think anything that you can do, it's making your acting better. Like you write, God, you're such a good writer. Such a good writer. That anytime you get an opportunity to act, that skill set that you've honed and worked on is making you a better artist through and through. You get a scene, you understand it differently now. I encourage anybody to try and go and write while it's slow, figure out what you have to do, what is required to even see the words on the page. I think it makes you respect them in a different way. It makes you show up on set differently. Go try and direct something. Go like try and effort your creativity into something else, or fuck off. Who cares?
And go live your life. And
just truly go like figure out a hobby, book a job. I book a vacation. My agent told me the other day, he was like, I need you to book a vacation.
Is that the tactic? Book a vacation, book a job.
Yeah. Even last year I was like, hey, I need to have a surgery. He was like, okay, put it on the books. I'll get you a film. And that's what happened. Literally, I had 2 surgeries, and in between both of them, I did a movie before, in the middle, and then after. And I've never, 2 years ago, I was like, like, I'm available. Anybody? What's up?
It's funny because I think that here in Los Angeles, I always have this like self-consciousness and shadow around talking about the woo-woo stuff. Not with you. The minute we met, I was like, you're my Scorpio sister. Let's be witches together and talk about this for all time. But in general, I think because it's such a culture of like acting classes and like self-healers and like the conferences about self-actualization, and not to like diminish any of that, but there are those sort of like fringe aspects of it in this city where you're sort of like, wow, that sounds like a cult. Is it at all grounded in reality? And so for me, when I even when I talk about embodiment, divine feminine wisdom, astrology, spirituality, energetics, I have a little bit of maybe it's my upbringing, little bit of a like New England East Coast chip on my shoulder about it. So as to wink and tell the people like, I know this sounds crazy, but all of that aside, what you're saying is so resoundingly true. And it, like you said this earlier, look at the data. Like if you want to know, look at the data. And when I look back at my career, it's the biggest opportunities have come when I'm literally on vacation, when I'm either sick or pregnant and not running out in the world, but literally like sitting there with my feet up, luxuriating and taking care of myself because I'm a queen, which is so counterintuitive because my programming says, no, you must work harder. You must do more. My biggest opportunities, with 0 exceptions, have come through when I've done exactly the opposite of that. And then energetically, as a recovering people pleaser, as you are too, pouring into others all the time, without pouring into yourself, it's like treat yourself the way you want to be treated. And the universe, or however you want to say it, God, the world, quantum mechanics, it's sensing what you are doing. And so if you are giving the messaging, I live for other people, I make myself small, I'll put your needs before mine, why would it give you what you want?
Like attracts like. Look, there's a lot of science to back the woo-woo stuff now too. And I just think if you're so outside of yourself, meaning focusing on everybody else, giving up your time to everybody else, there's no way you're going to be an artist. And I'm going to say that right now. It's just, there's no way. You have nothing inside you to give to that. You're people pleasing. You're completely outside of yourself. I think as an actor, I always say that this is the most spiritual thing you can do for a job, because you have to work on yourself. I can't bring my shit to every role. Sure, I can bring my shit to some roles and it might help, but it also might expire its potency.
Yes.
So if my brain is clear, if I am in a good energetic state, I can fully be available for a character, for a story, and I'm not bringing my shit into it, right? Or if I can be, anytime I've been of high vibration in a place where I'm like, it's going to work out. It always does. Whatever. It does. Whenever I'm like, there's enough for everybody to go around, like it'll work out. I remember, this is going back. I remember I did a pilot with Jonathan Kite, and this is how we met. And I remember him being like, we were talking kind of some woo-woo stuff. We did the pilot with Jamie Foxx, and we were like, what's this going to be? And by the end of the pilot, Jamie kind of took Jonathan and I under his wings. And for like 10 years, really, really was trying to help us break through in some sort of capacity. And I think that was an alignment of that time where I was just like, I'm available. I'm a yes and person at that time. And it was met with another yes and person that could really put some light on it. But when Jonathan and I were sitting there and we were talking all kinds of stuff, he's like, do you know Brooke Lyons? And I was like, no. And he's like, you guys are going to love each other. And
this is before you and I met.
Yes, it was you guys had just done
Two Broke Girls.
And then I saw that and I was like, oh my God, I love her. And then Life Sentence happened. And I remember coming in, I was in the pilot and then a few other episodes. I was recurring on that. And I remember asking you, how's it feel? Like, because it was your first
series regular.
And I remember you looking at me and there was a twinkle in your eye. And you were like, it feels really good. It's really nice to be in this position. You were so relaxed. You were so pulled back. Come to find out later, you're pregnant. Like what? But again, you were taking care of yourself, taking care of your child. Here comes this opportunity. And the way you were in that moment, like your energy in that moment was so appealing that anybody wants to sit next. Like when you are taking care of yourself, you're a magnet. But why do we think the opposite? Why do we operate in the opposite? And I remember even hearing your story for Two Broke Girls, how you even just inhabited that and took control of that fucking room. And it just worked out that way. I wonder what you had. What was your secret for Two Broke Girls? You were just taking care of yourself. And that was fun. It was a
lot of fun. That was, and I wonder like how I would play that now, because that was in many lifetimes ago, 2011, I think. Mm-hmm. And it was this character on the page that could have gone any which way. It was very funny, very well written, but it was like rich, ridiculous mom character. And I was sort of like, okay, we have a lot of those here in this town who could be more of a Victoria's Secret model than me and more of a ridiculous sort of like that caricature than me. If it's going to be that, it's not going to be me, which gives you a freedom, I think, if you're not trying to be this idea of what you think it is. And I just was like, okay, they want what they want, but like, what makes me laugh? What do I do with this that I just like can't stop laughing because it's so absurd and it fits my weird sense of humor, because I'm super weird. So I just went there and made her like super weird. But it's interesting because, you know, you have that, you tap in, but it's funny how you lose that sometimes over time. And then you've got to get it back. Like these stories of confidence from all these high moments, these mountain moments, and then in the valley moments, how you're sort of like, maybe that doesn't work in all situations. That certainly wouldn't work on a self-tape, because part of what I did there was commanding a room, which I feel very confident in and very good at. But we don't do that anymore. We are in a peep show where we're like, I left one and I was like, why do I feel dirty? Like a Zoom room where I'm in and you're like, hi, Brooke Lyons, 5'2". And a friend of mine was like, oh, you auditioned for that show? My friend is a writer on that show. Did you meet them? And I said, we don't meet anybody. We're here and you have like 10 black screens because they've got their camera turned off. And it's a whole different ecosystem. So it's like taking a little bit of that, but figuring out what works now.
When I went in the room this week.
Why did you go in the room? Can you say? You don't have to say.
Euphoria. I'll say it because it'd be great to get it. But it'd be great to get it. You were so my inspiration. And I'm so glad that I was like, oh, this will be perfect that we're talking this week. Again, written in a way, could be anybody. It was so glorious to sit in the waiting room. I can't tell you, I didn't realize how much I missed it. The actress going in before me, beautiful, amazing, outstanding actress in a totally different instrument. Looked like we could not, there's nothing more polar opposites than the two of us sitting there going in for the same thing. The woman who came in after me could not have been more different. Everything just so different. And I was like, I'm going to pull Brooke. Like, what is my version? What is this? What does this look like when it's on my instrument, on this blonde, green-eyed person? How do I do this? Girl, I did my song. I walked into that room and I was like, I'm moving this around, doing this around. I was like, I'll let you know when I'm ready. I did your full Brooke. And I was like, this is fun. And then I left and I was like, as I was leaving, I looked at them and I was like, I'm so jealous They're like, why? And I'm like, I would love to stay in this room and see all the versions that you're getting today. And they're like, oh my God, it's all been so different. And I'm like, absolutely. But like that I think is the thing that keeps me through certain things, is the exploration and celebration, that it's selection, not rejection. The Zoom rooms are tough. The Zoom rooms are, but then I try to make it as interesting as I possibly can. I still try to command the room, where I come in and I'm like, hey, all those 10 boxes out there, dark boxes, how you doing? Anybody want to come on and say hi? This feels strange. Like, I'll play. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't, but I think it's weird. Be like, anybody want to wave a hand? Say hello? Okay. Anyways, and then I play with the person that I'm reading with. Like, there's no other way, I think, for us to express our personalities or our professionalism as well, too. Like, I know how this works. Let's not be so
professionalism. Let's not pretend like we've all never done this before. And I love what you're saying, that it's coming not only from you, but for you. Because, I mean, talk about second chakra energy, but it's true. Like, when you are seeking and feeling pleasure in yourself, like, that translates. Not looking to the other person and trying to do like gymnastic routines about how to pleasure that person or give them viewing pleasure or any kind of pleasure. It's just sort of like, what gets you off creatively? That's fun. I think that's the most fun to watch, but also the easiest to forget.
Yeah, I think so. When I left there, I was like, I don't think I'm getting this. But man, they laughed. I laughed. Great. Next. I mean, look, it's euphoria. Anybody and everybody would want to get on the show. Look, it's hard for me to watch as a parent. I don't know how you feel about it. I watched the first episode and I was like, no, thank you. I don't want to think about my child ever going into this world. I don't want to think about it. It's very well done. It's very well crafted. It'd be an incredible show to be a part of. Yes, yes, yes. And if it's for me, it'll find me. If not, I would love to see the person who went in before me. I'd love to see her get it. I would love to see her too. I would watch just for that. You know? So sometimes, like, in that vibration of curiosity and not being competitive, but actually being collaborative, I think that's what helps me stay in. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do the podcast. I wouldn't be able to coach. One of my clients, I got a text this morning. I helped her work on some monologues for Tish, for all of her auditions. She got into Tish with a full ride. I cried this morning when her mom texted me. I was like, are you kidding me? It's such a like, so I just like, there shouldn't be this mine, or if they're doing that, then I can't. Because I think that it's the comparison that makes the mountain crumble sometimes. Yes, the industry is also crumbling a little bit, but it's the comparison that makes us crumble.
And the gatekeeping of wisdom that comes along with that. Where it may sound Pollyanna-ish. I mean, you've done this so beautifully in your podcast, and you wrote a book, and in every way you walk through life creatively and professionally, but like, giving of the wisdom amplifies it and returns it to you threefold, as opposed to like keeping these secrets tight. Like, these are my secrets. I don't want to tell anybody the recipe. That's not how this business really works.
I don't think so. That doesn't feel good. I've just always loved celebrating people's wins. I'm trying to get better at celebrating mine. And I think that's what you said earlier too, is like, oh yeah, how do I say the things where I'm still like shiny and bright too? And not like, I saw a friend sent me something this morning. She was like, I ain't gonna apologize for my shiny and bright. And it was like a unicorn. Everything was sparkling. She's like, here I am. I love people like that. So why would we not? I think it gives permission, not in an arrogant way, just like, yeah, this is great. Well, this is fun. I'm doing great things right now. I'm enjoying this. And probably because that cycle is going to come back around. And I think that the world can reflect that back to you. Like, you need to see the reflection of goodness. And if you're so negative or so hard on yourself, you're going to see that reflection. And I don't want to see that reflection anymore. No, thank you.
No, thank you. It's too heavy. The world is so heavy that no, thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
We're just gonna stay in the light. We're gonna stay in the light.
You're so wise, my friend.
You're so wise. I'm so glad you're doing this. I think it's going to be really exhilarating.
This is so fun. I started the Substack writing because it was during the strikes, and I was crawling out of my skin. Like, I was getting mean. When you like an unexpressed creative, when I start to get really grumpy and like bitchy, I'm sort of like, okay, the opposite. What is it? The opposite of victimhood is not like heroism, it's creativity, or the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's creativity, like having agency in your own creativity. So I started writing and writing and writing, but at a certain point, much like the auditioning or these sort of like, echo chambers we all find ourselves in, I realized I was like, I don't just work in a vacuum. In fact, I'm an actor because I love more than anything interfacing with people. That's where the magic comes. And so I was like, let's have conversations with people that I love. So thank you.
I love it. I could conversate with you all the time, anytime. We always get into such great places. So thank you. Thanks for being such a beautiful mirror. And I just adore you. I adore
you too. And I feel that from you, and your ability to just navigate through constantly changing terrain with like such magic and grace and curiosity is just such a constant inspiration. So thank you.
Thanks,
You've been listening to Say More with Brooke Lyons. For more unfiltered conversations, head over to Substack. And if this one sparked something, send it to a friend. Thanks for listening.